Hi there, Mr. Hess here. If you're watching this video, you are in my grade 11 math class. And if you're not in my math class, it's just weird that you're watching this. But we are going to be looking at a new type of function this year. Last year, it was all about linear equations, that it was all about graphing straight lines and learning all about them, x-intercepts, y-intercepts, slope, all that kind of stuff. This year, we're going to look at a brand new sort of shape on the graph. It's not going to just be straight anymore. But before we do that, though, we're going to do a quick refresher of what a function is all about. So in math, a function is just simply a special relation between a set of inputs and a set of outputs where each output matches with exactly one output. You can think about it as a machine that changes numbers. So this should just be changes numbers. Changes numbers into new numbers. Often this relationship is described with an algebraic rule. So here we have a function, let's call it the f machine. Okay, so we're going to call it machine f, and its rule is it takes whatever is put into it, doubles it, and adds 3. So let's look at some things that might happen. If we put a 5 into it, this machine, okay, it outputs, well, 5, it's going to times it by 2, 10 plus 3 is 13. And if I put, say, 7 into it, it's going to double it, 14, and add 3 is 17. Okay? So all the things that can go into this particular machine is called the domain. And all the numbers that come out are called the range. All right, so that's basically all a function is. It's a rule that changes numbers that you put in into something else and outputs them to different things. Okay? Well, that's what this particular function does. All right. Now, 2x plus 3 is an algebraic rule of what the machine is, and we might write the output of this machine, f of x. So this here is kind of like the output is equal to 2 times the input plus 3. All right, and one other thing here is that this output of 17 we got by plugging in 7. So we might say when 7 is put into the machine, so like that's the input spot there, when 7 is put into the in machine, f of 7, the output is 17. Okay? So it's just a new sort of way of describing rules. Okay, now this is kind of a handy way of looking at it, but we can also represent what this function does by making a little xy chart. So let me just rewrite the function over here again. F of x was equal to 2 times the input plus 3. So I can take some nice numbers like -2, for example, plug it in the machine and see what I get. So when I plug in f of when I plug in -2 into the function machine, we're going to times it by 2 and add 3. So that's -4 plus 3 is -1. When I plug -1 into the machine, I get 2 times -1 is -2 plus 3 is 1. And we can just keep on doing this. When I plug 0 in, I get 3. When I plug 1 in, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5, and that is 7. Okay? So we can take those inputs and outputs. So that's an input and that's an output. And we can say, let's let the y-axis stand for the outputs, and let's let the x-axis stand for the inputs, and we can take every one of these points, like -2, -1, and go -2, -1. That dot represents plugging in -2, getting -1 to come out. Okay? So every single dot on this graph that we're about to do represents an input matching the output that goes with it. So if I continue on, I would have -1, 1, 0, 3, 0, 3, 1, 5, 2, 7. Okay? So these are just some nice numbers that I chose, but we can see that when we put them all together, they start to form a pattern that you guys know and love from last year called a linear pattern. In other words, they make a straight line. And if we extend that pattern and connect all the dots through, we get this linear equation, f of x equals 2x plus 3. And you guys will remember from last year that plus 3 refers to the y-intercept, and the 2 at the front refers to the fact that the slope of this is 2 over 1. So for every one I go over, I go 2 up. So that's the slope. Okay, so, but that was last year. So basically, we are moving on away from lines to new types of functions, but we're just kind of reviewing what we know about functions using lines. Okay? In the next video, we're going to just review different ways of talking about the domain and range.